What's going on, guys? Rdapdan here. Happy Saturday to everybody. Running about a minute or two before we're going to go get started. Giving everybody a little bit of time to jump in the room. What's up, Johnny? Just an update, guys. Make sure we've got an awesome little promotion contest going right now. If you text, what was it, June 30? If you text the word June 30, June 30, to 35074, you'll be entered into our contest to receive our full prison consulting services, and the winner will be selected on June 30th. So I will make sure I post that in the room in a few minutes. Hey, Miss Dutchy, how are you? Am I cold? No, just comfortable, relaxed. It's actually a pretty thin sweatshirt. So just relaxing on this nice Saturday afternoon. Hope you guys are all having a good day. What's up, Chris? So as you guys can see, the topic of the video today is he was kicked out of Rdap and why. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Make sure we let everybody get a chance to get in here. So again, here, I'll post it in here. Make sure you text There you go. Put that in. Johnny, I meant to respond to you earlier. It's just been a hectic morning. I did shoot that information off to your attorney. Sorry for not responding. But yes, your attorney does have it, or at least you should have it. And we can confirm with him on Monday. All right, so what do we got? We got about 7-10 people in the room. All right, so let's go ahead and kick it off. Rdapdan here, Federal Prison Time. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you tap the bell up in the top right-hand corner of your YouTube screen, and that will subscribe you to my channel. Like, share my videos, all of that good stuff. Make sure you put yourself on the notification list. All you got to do is text the word YouTube to 35074. If you want to enter the contest to receive our free prison consulting and coaching services, everything under the sun that we offer is going to be awarded to one lucky individual on June 30th. All you need to do is text the word June 30, all one word, June 30, to 35074, and that will automatically enter you into the contest. Try not to cheat there and send multiple text messages from different phones for the same person. That will disqualify you. All right, so let's kind of jump into today's video. So we did a video last week on Rdap and what to expect and what Rdap's really like and what the fears of Rdap are. And we talked about different ways of getting removed. So sometimes getting an email like this is interesting because it goes to show you how soon somebody, or how easy somebody can actually be removed from Rdap if they're not working the program right. So I received an email over the weekend from the wife of somebody that's in prison. Now, the person's not a client, so let's go ahead and read this email, and then we'll discuss it and get some feedback from you guys and see what you think. So here we go. All right, so I received this email yesterday, actually. Hello, Dan. Hello, Dan. My name is Jamie. My husband, Adam, spoke with you about a year ago regarding Rdap. He decided not to hire you, even though our family thought he should. I've watched all of your videos, and something you say often really stuck out in my mind. You often say that I used to struggle with. I do not need anyone's help to solve my own problems. Well, that's my husband described to a T. He's been in Rdap now for about 5 months or midway through the program. So Rdap's about 10 months long, so she's pretty much saying that he's been in it about midway through. He's halfway through the program. He's been in it for 5 months midway through. Last Thursday, they brought him in the office and explained to him that he's not progressing in the program. They told him that his participation was very weak. They told him that is not fair to others in the unit who open up and share while he sits there not offering anything in return. Apparently, this is not the first time this has been brought to his attention. In his mind, he feels he has participated and made progress. Instead of hearing what they were trying to tell him, he started to defend himself. Well, now he has been removed from the program and he has lost his year. He would have been home in about 7 months. I'm so beside myself right now that I feel he is completely unwilling to do what it takes. I know there's nothing you can do at this point, but I just wanted to share this with you. Maybe this can help some of your viewers who are in the same mindset that they don't need anybody's help. This has honestly hurt our relationship more than him going to prison in the first place. I am now second guessing if this is what I want out of a relationship, but not sure how to bring this up to him. Any thoughts or ideas would be very helpful. Thank you, Dan, for all that you've done and what you will do. You have been such a blessing in this dark time. God bless and keep it up. Thank you, Jamie, and hopefully you're watching so we can kind of answer some of your feedback on there. So what do you guys think about that? So there's somebody that's been in Rdap for 5 months, didn't do anything, didn't steal, didn't get in fights, didn't break confidentiality, but yet was still removed from the program. And we've touched on this topic when I explained to you guys how you can get removed from the program, and people really do underestimate what Rdap is all about. You guys have heard me say a million times that Rdap is no walk in the park. Different people have different expectations. I remember talking to this guy briefly only because he had a very kind of a very sure attitude. Like, he was calling for some basic information, but then as we would talk more, he's like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I understand. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, he kind of had it all figured out in his mind. And a lot of people going into Rdap have that same mindset. Some people are able to progress once they get in there and realize that, shit, this is not what I thought it is, and I need to allow this process to work, to break me down in order to get out of it what it is they need me to get out of it. So white collar criminals, nonviolent offenders, educated type of people that are going into Rdap sometimes are going to have a little bit tougher of a time than somebody that says never ever had a job, has very low education, can't really read or write, because their expectations for that person is just to put some basic effort in. But when you go in and you're slightly educated, or at least talk like you're educated or come off educated, the bar is set a little bit higher because they want to see everybody push to their maximum potential. And obviously that's different for everybody. So when you're not sharing and you're not opening up in Rdap and you're not talking about your problems and you're not talking about your feelings in Rdap when it's required, especially 5 months in, your first couple of weeks, your first 30, 60 days, okay, you can kind of get away with that because they understand you're still processing all of this and getting used to it. But midway through the program, you know, you're in phase 2 and you should be working towards helping others, slightly becoming a mentor for the new people coming in behind you. And if you're not doing that, and it sounds like the DTSs, the drug treatment specialists, like the staff members that are there that kind of oversee the program, sounds like they may have brought this to his attention. You know, they may have said, what was his name again? His name was Adam. Sounds like they may have brought this to Adam's attention, telling Adam, hey, you know, you need to step it up, or hey, you need to open up a little bit more. They're not going to baby you. They're not going to be like, Adam, if you don't open up, we're going to remove you from the program. They give you these subtle warnings, and then if you don't start making progress, eventually they're going to bring you in, like she said, they're going to bring you into the office, and that's called a team meeting. Different than the type of team that you have with your regular unit. This is just Rdap team. Not everybody gets teamed. Usually a team is not a good thing. So when they team you, it's all of the Rdap staff in there. You've got all of the DTSs, which is usually 4 or 5 different DTSs, and then you have the Rdap coordinator. And they bring you in with your big brother and a senior peer and a peer of that's in your group. So let's say I'm in blue group. They're going to say, hey, Wise, you got team. They don't give you any notice. They're going to tell you the day of. They're going to be like, Wise, you have team today. You need to bring your big brother, and that's called pick 2. Wise, you have team today. Pick 2. Pick 2 means your big brother and somebody from your group that's going to come in and sit in on the team meeting that is going to be there to also give you feedback to kind of explain to you where you're struggling. So it sounds like during his team meeting, they brought up these issues that they see him struggling with. And instead of him saying, okay, yes, I am struggling with this, or yes, he got slightly defensive and tried to justify what he was doing. That doesn't work in Rdap, guys. You can't justify. If they're telling you you're doing something wrong, they're seeing something that you need to improve on. Remember, the whole point of Rdap, the whole process behind it, the whole conception of it is they want to see how you react. How do you react to feedback? How do you react to what somebody's telling you? And if you can't respond in a way where you're being objective and saying, okay, clearly you're seeing something in me that is causing you to have this meeting with me. Let me try to focus on that. Instead, he's going into defense mode and allowing his ego to get in the way and saying, no, I don't struggle with that. No, but I'm doing this and I'm doing that, making excuses and mollifying what he's doing. That's a sure way to eventually get yourself removed from Rdap. So what his wife is now referring back to is one of the things that we do with our clients. When you guys hire us, we don't just help you get into Rdap. There's a whole coaching process while you're in Rdap to make sure that this doesn't happen to you, what happened to Adam. Because sometimes it's in your blind. And one day we'll do a video specifically on what's called the Johari window. You have your open, you have your secret, you have your blind, and your potential. So if you just picture a 4-pane window with 4 panes in it, and the top left pane says open, the top right pane says secret, the bottom left pane says blind, and the bottom right pane says potential. Your open is what you see and what everybody else sees. Your secret is things that you hold inside of you that you don't let others know about. Like maybe you're a horrible speller, or you're bad at math, or you're afraid of clowns. That's something you might not want to tell other people about because it makes you feel embarrassed or it makes you feel uneasy. So that's your secret. Your blind is what people see about you, but you don't see it about yourself. Maybe you're one of those people, or maybe you know somebody that every time you tell a story, he's always got to outdo your story, or he's always got to be the center of attention. He doesn't realize he's doing that, but everybody else around it notices it, but nobody really brings it to his attention. So it's in his blind. Your potential is everything that you can be, good or bad. So once you expose your secrets and your blind now becomes part of your open, it really opens the doors. Once you see what your weaknesses are, which is your blind, once you can focus on those, and it sounds like this guy Adam had a lot of stuff in his blind and maybe some stuff still secret that he wasn't willing to open up and share. Clearly in all the group settings, he doesn't like to open up and share his stories about growing up or his struggles with his relationship or, his parents or his kids, whatever it is. He doesn't want to share that information. So by not sharing, you're shutting down, and you're in a group of guys that are all expected to share. So this group of guys will be sharing, and then they notice that you're not sharing, and to them it's like, man, this guy's got all this dirt on us, but we have nothing on him. That's one way to look at it. So they look at it as it's not fair if we're in this therapeutic community where people are supposed to be helping people. Community is method. People helping people, but yet you're not doing anything to contribute. You're just taking. So that is something that can get you removed from Rdap. So that's part of what we work on with our clients through the weekly emails, the phone calls, and corresponding with the family. We want to make sure that you're progressing. We ask you what book you're working in. All Rdap courses, they use the same set of books for Rdap. So we find out what book you're in. We open up our books. We go through it, see where you're at, ask you how you're answering these questions, ask you where you feel like you're struggling, what's hard for you. And by getting feedback from you, we can give direction as to what Rdap is expecting, which is going to open up the roadmap a little bit deeper to get you through Rdap, not just get you through it, but get you through it where you understand the process. Because that's all it is. It's just being comfortable with the process and realizing that in order to be comfortable, you may need to be a little bit uncomfortable. A little oxymoron there for you guys. Keep it jiving this afternoon, whatever time it is. 1:15. So yeah, like I said, Rdap is no walk in the park. When I say it's the hardest thing that I ever did in my entire life, that is not some sales pitch. to convince people they need to hire me for Rdap. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And maybe one day we'll read through some letters that I sent home while I was in the midst of Rdap and having some mental breakdowns where there was days where I literally wanted to quit the program, wanted to quit, and would say to myself, it's not worth the year off. Now, clearly it was because I didn't quit, but those were some dark dwelling thoughts that would hit me that would just make it so hard to want to deal with it, because you constantly feel like at any minute this can be ripped out away from you. And that's a lot to handle. It's a lot to know that at any time you can lose your year. Now, you're not going to lose your year. You're going to give your year away. They're not just going to take it from you for no reason. I mean, I'm not going to say there aren't crooked, staff members out there and doing shady shit, but Rdap is not designed just to take stuff away from you. It's designed to make you work and raise the bar and raise the bar and raise the bar. And once they see you hitting that stale kind of, you're in pause mode, you're not really going any further, that can be dangerous, because you should be progressing the whole way through, working out in the community, helping the community, giving back, teaching classes, helping the younger guy. When I say younger, the guys that come in behind you that are just getting into phase 1 or just getting started in their orientation book, going around and talking to them, making sure that you're conversing with people outside of your race. That's a big thing in Rdap, is like when you have big brothers and little brothers, they like to pair white people with black people, Spanish people with black people. They like to keep it mixed up to make you engage with people that you normally may not engage with on the streets or in the free world, however you want to call it. So what we focus on the prison consulting side of things is making sure that you have a plan while you're in Rdap. And a lot of that is just, and that plan could be different for everybody. Some people, they get it right away. They flourish in it. They're just wide open for criticism, and they're wide open for suggestions. Other people are, more than not, are a little bit kind of shut down, and you have to really get them going in order to open them up. Some people are completely terrified of crying in front of a group of men, especially in prison, and it's going to happen. So that's a lot of the fear to why people don't want to open up, because they're afraid if they open up and expose themselves too much, they've repressed so much emotion from whatever it is, childhood, upbringing, family, mother, daughter, your own children. You repress so many painful feelings and thoughts that you want to get rid of them. But in Rdap, they want you to pull that stuff out. And a lot of us know if we start talking about that stuff, we know the waterworks are right behind it. We might start crying. We might break down. And a lot of people are not comfortable doing that in front of people. As a boy or a man, a lot of us are raised as, men don't cry, men don't show emotion. Well, in Rdap, all that is opposite. They reprogram that. It's called re-education. It's not how it works. You need to be emotion. You need to show emotion. You need to be able to share your feelings. And it gets easier and easier and easier. Once you get all that pus and cancer out of you, it becomes a much easier process. So anyway, that's what we focus on to help you guys get through that process, see where you're stuck 2, 3 months, 4 months in. The first couple of months are usually easy. Once you get halfway to 3/4 in, that's when Rdap, the pressure really kicks in, and that's when a lot of the clients really need that extra coaching and that one-on-one and those emails back and forth and some ideas and some tough love. Remember, telling people what they need to hear versus what they want to hear is the sign of a true friendship or the sign of true intimacy. If you're in a relationship where you're always just afraid of confrontation and you're just agreeing, someone says, work sucks, or I hate my job, or my boss did this, and that person's right there going, yeah, your boss sounds like an asshole. Question, well, why did your boss do this? Is there anything that you could have done differently? If you can't question yourself and you can't question other people and you can't ask those kind of questions without pissing somebody off, you need to reevaluate your circle of friends and see if this is really the type of relationship you want to be in. Speaking of relationships, I'm doing a video. Actually, I just shot the video and sent it over yesterday with Zach, Win with Zach. You guys have been to his YouTube channel, hopefully. If you haven't, go over to Win with Zach on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, look up the name Win with Zach. I'm going to have a video coming out with him probably, I would imagine sometime this week. I sent him over the footage. He's going to do his magic with that, and he's going to make the video, and it's going to be released on his channel. So if you guys want to see my video, that's going to be talking about relationships and how relationships can be self-destructive and how you can destroy a relationship, or how the other person can destroy a relationship, and what you can do to avoid these common mistakes. This isn't just for people going to prison. This is real world stuff. And this is what I learned through Rdap, though. Rdap is not just about drugs and alcohol. A lot of people assume Rdap is all about drugs and alcohol, AA, NA meetings all day long. If you've ever been to an AA or an NA or Gamblers Anonymous or sex addiction meeting, you know what those meetings are like. They focus on just sharing when you want. Rdap is not like that. Rdap focuses almost 100% on cognitive thinking, opening up, finding out where the root of the problem was, if you were using drugs, what really caused you to use drugs, what type of person are you, how are your relationships, is your relationship with your wife and your children actually healthy? You know, everybody says, yeah, I've got a great wife or I've got a great husband, and a lot of times when you dig in deeper to these relationships, they're not necessarily as healthy as you might think. That doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad relationship. There just always is room for improvement and things that you can do to increase the benefit of a relationship. So that's what we're talking about in the video that I'm doing with Win with Zach. So make sure you subscribe to his channel so you can check out that video, because that video is not going to be on my channel. I will promote it once it's out and I'll post links to it, but the best thing you guys could do right now is go over to Zach's channel and subscribe. So it's Win with Zach. Subscribe. He's amazing. Awesome. All right, check that out for me. Do you think Rdap coordinators will know if we ask you questions from prison via phone or email? Bitch and complain about Rdap to you via email. Okay, good question. So Juan Carlos is asking, let's say you're a client of mine and you're in Rdap and you've got some Rdap questions and you want to email me. I can tell you right now, I've got several clients that are in Rdap, well over, that are actively in Rdap, probably somewhere between like 30 and 40 clients right now that are actively in Rdap. And I've actually gotten letters from Rdap staff saying what I'm doing is amazing, because what I'll tell you is what I tell all my clients before they go in. Don't talk shit about Rdap on the phone and through email, because all this stuff is read and monitored. It's okay to say I'm struggling in Rdap. I'm feeling a lot of pressure in Rdap. And what you're going to get back from me, and I'm also being conscious of they may be reading this, so what you're going to get back from me is what you obviously should be doing, but at the same time, I know what Rdap wants you to do. Rdap wants you to go engage in the community and go talk to other people in the community like a senior peer. Find out who your mentor is going to be and start, and you can decide who your mentors are going to be. It doesn't have to be somebody that's labeled as a mentor. It can just be somebody that you think is doing the right thing in Rdap, and they can become your mentor. So what I'll tell you is I'd say, hey, Juan, I get it that right now Rdap feels really stressful and you feel like the program's picking on you and you feel like it's designed to make you fail, but I can promise you that program is wanting to see how you're going to react, because right now you're in a prison environment, and they figure if there's ever going to be a time to where they can get you to start thinking about your actions, it's going to be in prison. But if you can't react positively in here, how are you expected to react on the street? So what I recommend you to do, Juan, is think about what the real problem is right now. Think about what you could have done differently, and go have this conversation with your big brother, or go have this conversation with a senior peer. Go talk to your DTS. And when the Rdap staff reads that, that's exactly what they want you to do. So it's reiterating and reconfirming what the program is designed to do. So I don't see anybody having a problem, because I'm never going to engage in shit talking with you about the program. You're never going to get me to do that. You're never going to get me to say Rdap fucking sucks, or Rdap was a waste of time, or Rdap builds snitches, or Rdap's, you know, a bunch of crybabies. You're never going to hear me say that, because that's not what it is. Just like anything, there's politics, there's things that you're not going to agree with, but you're in that system, you're going through that regimen, and that just is what it is. So you have to be able to dissect, or however you want to call it, you know, chew up the meat and spit out the bones and get out of the program what you can benefit from it and take with you. Not every single aspect of the program may apply to you. But once the program is completely embedded into you and you understand it, you will see things through different eyes, or at least understand things differently. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to agree with it 100%, but you will become a more objective person to at least have the ability to say, okay, I could see why people would like this. I could see what people get out of this. You're going to, you're going to see it differently than you see it right now. Simple as that. Johnny, if you don't speak English, I talk to you on the phone, so you do speak English. So what are you referring to? Because you can't be referring to yourself. Are you saying if you don't speak good English? I've seen guys in there that can barely talk English. Like, they literally struggle to get up and say, hi, my name is, today's weather is going to be, tomorrow's weather is going to be, today the main dormitory is going to be closed for mopping and buffing. You know, I've heard people get up and make those statements and struggle, but you just got to try. So you seem to speak fine English when you and I talk on the phone. So do you not feel your English is up to par? So let me know what you think about that, Johnny, because I don't think you're going to have anything to worry about with your English. As long as you can speak basic English and read basic, basic, seventh grade reading level. We got a big Herc fan in the house. What's up, Marco? Wig splitting, busting cheeks. Those are definitely some big Herc catchphrases right there. Welcome. I don't know if you're here to talk shit, if you're here to enjoy the conversation, but either way, welcome, welcome. Wig splitting. There's no wig splitting in the low. People tell on people when you do that in the low. What's up, Jay? Didn't even see you pop in, bud. Jay Hugasane. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of insight as to the real life of Rdap. And I'm not happy the guy got kicked out of Rdap at all. Like, that is horrible. I'm glad that his wife was willing to share that with us and allowing me to share that with you guys, because it's therapeutic. It is real. It brings it home. It's raw. That could be any one of you in Rdap. I'm telling you, more people did not make it through my class than graduated in my class in Rdap at Coleman Low. Fact. Check it. Rdap is not easy. It's mentally fucking really, really mentally tough. Very mentally tough. There's so many moving, dynamic parts to this program that can cause emotion, stress, anxiety. And if you're not learning how to deal with all of these things now, which a lot of you are, so thank God, a lot of you are taking this really serious. Like Chris, you are an anxiety-ridden type of dude. So I'm glad that you're taking this serious, and you've done so much homework and so much insight into yourself and really just become a sponge and try to absorb as much as you can, because Rdap is going to put all of the information you're learning right now to the test. Going to put it to the test. For those of you that get into prison and you're in there for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, depending how long your sentence is before you get into Rdap, that first couple of months is going to be, look at that as your vacation. Enjoy it. Get all the bullshit out of your mind. If you want to go make cheesecakes and, run little games on the compound and buy and sell stamps and buy little cheesecakes, do it all before you get into Rdap, because once you get into Rdap, the pressure is on. No more getting haircuts outside of your, no more getting haircuts from people in other units. You can only go to the barbershop. Most RDOPs won't allow you to get haircuts in the unit, even if guys got clippers. They want you to go to the barbershop because they feel if somebody's giving you a haircut, you must be giving them something, buying it, stamps, food, whatever it is. They don't want any of that going on because it just creates potential chaos and potential, bumping of heads if you owe somebody money. So really, really, really pay attention to that. Pay attention to what you're doing today to work on your anxiety, your fear, your stress. How are you dealing with it? Your best friend is a book. And you know me, I'm going to go to this book almost every time. This book is everywhere I go, pretty much. I read it all the time. Whenever we take trips anywhere, I throw it in my backpack because I'm telling you, you can almost turn to any page and just start reading for 5 or 6 minutes, and you're going to read some stuff that is going to make you feel better. And it doesn't just make you feel better. It actually turns something on where you want to go out and become very, very proactive and do something action-based. This book is influencing, it's stimulating, it's so easy to comprehend the concept of all of the basic things that we've learned as a little kid to where we are now. But it re-breaks it down to a point where it has a new meaning once you reread it. It's like, yeah, I know what all of this means, but I've never done it the right way. So this book causes you to make action. Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. The book is written fucking forever ago. It was like 1980 or something like that he wrote the book, but it's completely relevant, and you don't feel like you're reading old print. Like, this could be written today in exactly the format it's in, and you would never know the difference that this was written in 1980. So a lot of you have already gotten the book. If you don't have the book, go get it. You can get it on Amazon for like $7 or $8. Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. I'm telling you guys, a lot of the stuff that we talk about, a lot of the tools, a lot of the techniques, a lot of the exercises that I try to share with you guys comes from that book. I know there's a million other books that probably got just as good information, but for me, it's so fulfilling when I read that book that I get exactly what I'm looking for out of that book. And I think a lot of you will as well. Well, make sure when you get to Rdap, Johnny, you tell them, I want to drink and smoke cannabis really bad, because that's the truth. And it's okay to say that. Now, when you get further through the program, you don't want to sit there and say, I can't wait to get off probation so I can go smoke weed. They hear you making statements like that, especially when you're further into the program, they're going to feel like you're not using the tools, because they don't want to hear that. So if you're thinking that, don't say it. Don't put that into an email or a phone call. If you have something that's really intense that you need to tell me about Rdap, that's a really sensitive subject and you don't want anybody to know about it, write a letter and mail it out. Mail it to your family, mail it to my P.O. box, whatever you want to do, but don't put it into an email, and don't discuss it over the phone, because calls are... I've seen guys get kicked out of the program for phone calls, for talking about how they've... Like, one guy got kicked out of the program because he was married, and on the phone, he was talking to his girlfriend, who doesn't... And the wife doesn't know about the girlfriend, and in Rdap, he's talking about how he's trying to fix his marriage, but then on the phone, he's saying how he can't wait to go see this chick, and they listen to these calls, and they bring it up in a group meeting. Hey, Nick, we want to let you know we listened to one of your calls, and we want to get some feedback, and you just see like, oh shit, he knows where it's going. And then they talk about what it was, and it's like, oh man. And he was like a phase 2 or phase 3 member. So when you're in phase 3 is the last phase. When you get deep into the program, if you're having those type of conversations, it shows that you're saying and doing one thing in the program, but then outside of the program, you're doing and saying something different. So it looks like you're trying to scam your way through the program. And if they catch you trying to scam your way through the program, smack on the head, kick you out of the program. You can start the program over. I think you got to wait. It's either 90 days or 180 days. I forgot. But if you get kicked out of Rdap, you can reapply, as long as it's not for fighting or breaking confidentiality. But if it's for, like, you know, you're just not progressing fast enough or something like that, you can reapply for the program 90 or 180 days later. But that's that much time you're not going to get off your sentence, especially those of you that may have shorter sentences. Yeah, Jay, you've been on cloud 9 this week, man. I liked reading those text messages you sent me. Jay's probation officer told him how good he's doing and the progress he's making and the effort he's putting in, took him off of the UA list. I read those text messages. That's good information. And that's, look, when you put in the hard work and the effort, payoffs come. You just don't know what form they're going to come in. They might come in now early through better probation situations. They might come in through shorter sentences. They might come in through, you know, the judge telling you, hey, you did such a good job with this, you know, da-da-da-da-da. It may come in with later on down the road, early termination from probation. It may come down the road with the halfway house really respecting what you've done and giving you a little bit more leniency. There's so many different ways that a positive attitude and hard work can pay off tenfold in so many different directions. But you got to be willing to put it in, and not just because of the payoff, because you don't know what the payoff's going to be. So you just got to get in the mindset of, this is who I'm going to be now. I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do. And usually when you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, good shit happens. It's just the way it works. Law of attraction, guys. If you believe in the laws of attraction, you're going to believe in putting out good energy rewards good energy. So, and you know, and your good fortune and your hard work, it also might benefit other people. I mean, how many people has Todd influenced? Todd's hard work, and he got sentenced to 9 years, and to him it was like, a fucking get out of jail free card when he got his 9-year sentence. But Todd's hard work and effort kind of paved the way. He was like the big brother that did all of the hard work to show you guys that, hey, this does work. And you saw the benefits from it. You saw how it affected his situation. And then you guys saw Will Townsend. You saw how the hard work that Will Townsend did got him probation. So once people see that, hey, this works, they're more likely to go repeat those steps and do exactly what they did, mimic that same stuff. And you do it long enough, you fake it till you make it. You do all of these exercises, even if it doesn't feel natural. You do it long enough, it becomes natural, and in your mind, you know what the consequence could be. The consequence could be a good consequence. It could be probation, shorter sentences, residential drug addiction program, extra halfway house, all of these different things that could benefit from your hard work and effort putting in now is going to reward big time later on. So I thank you to people like Todd. I thank you to people like Chris. I thank you to people like Will Townsend. Thank you to people like Jay Hugasane who are making the effort. And it's not always easy for everybody. We've got lives, we've got children, we've got wives, we've got husbands, we've got jobs, we've got obligations, and yet these few group of guys that I just mentioned are still going above and beyond and finding time to say, you know what? I can afford 2 hours a week to put into myself, into my self-improvement, my self-evolvement to get me to where I want to be. Yes, I would love to get probation. Yes, I would love to get 12 months off for Rdap and 12 months off for halfway house and maximize good time. But if I don't get good news, I want to be able to know how to handle that bad news without diving deep into the dwelling again. That's the key, guys, is when you do hit these fucking brick walls and when you do have a bad day or bad news or things don't go your way, how are you going to deal with it and handle it? If you guys could have saw me the day that I was told that I wasn't going to be able to take Rdap, I was in my unit. Okay, I'll tell you the story. I was in A1. A1 is there's A building, A1, A, B, and C building. Sorry, my mind went blank there for a minute. So we had 3 buildings in Coleman Low. A building, B building, C building. Each building had 4 units. 2 units downstairs, 2 units upstairs. Okay, so I was in the A building, A1 downstairs, trying to get into Rdap. When I first got there, I found out I had a detainer, but I didn't know what that meant. The not Rdap, but my case manager was like, "Oh, you've got a detainer." I was like, "Well, what's that?" And he goes, "You got an open charge in Georgia." And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what that means, but apparently that's why I went to a low, which is the reason I didn't go to a camp. So I'm like, okay, I didn't know what that meant. So I'm still thinking, you know, I'm going to try to get Rdap. So I go to the first open house, which was the following week. On Wednesday, I go down to C2, which is the Rdap unit, and I went in there and sat, and I spoke to Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, I'm like, hey, Dr. Smith, my name's Daniel Wise. I want to find out if I can get in the Rdap program. So she pulls up my file. She goes, yeah, it looks like you qualify. No problem. The next class doesn't start until, I think it was February 13th or something like that. She's like, come see me in a couple, because this was in October. Or September, I'm sorry. This was in September. She's like, come see me in December, and we'll go over this again just to make sure that everything's fine. So I'm thinking, this is all good. I'm going to get in February, no problem. So December, I go down there, and I sit with her again, and she pulls up my file, and she's like, oh, you have a detainer. I was like, well, what's that? She's like, you have some kind of an open charge somewhere. You need to get that taken care of before you can enter the program. So I'm kind of freaking out going, well, what do I got to do? She's like, you just got to get it. I don't even know what it is yet. Nobody has told me. So now I'm reaching to outside attorneys. I'm reaching to my friends and family, trying to like get this taken care of. I finally find out it's for a warrant out of Savannah, Georgia for failure to appear at a court date. And in my mind, I'm like, what could this possibly be? I've gone to every court date. The only court date I ever had in Savannah was when the feds picked me up on the federal charges. The state also picked me up on state charges. But when I went to court for the state charges, they agreed to drop it because I was now being dealt with by the feds. Well, come to find out, they misappropriated the paperwork and filed it incorrectly. Instead of filing it as dissolved or disillusioned or whatever it was, null and processed, they filed it as fucking failure to appear. A completely mistake, but really screwing me over. So now I'm trying to get people to go in and take care of this for me. Nobody can do it. I pay an attorney a ton of money, doesn't do anything, literally doesn't even return phone calls. Nothing. So I'm fighting this. I go back down and talk to Dr. Smith. I'm trying to get her to do something for Rdap. Just nothing is working. Literally, it was Friday. Rdap started the following Monday. If you're not in Rdap by the day it starts, you can't start that class. You have to wait. And those ones didn't start. It was every 90 days. So now, if I wasn't going to get into this January class, it was January 13th. If I wasn't going to get into this January 13th class, I couldn't take the next class until it was like March or April, whatever it was. So I go into my case manager. His name is Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez. And I knocked on his door, and he looks at me and goes, "What?" Real nasty. That's just how these guys are in there. And I said, "Mr. Jimenez," and I told him in like 30 seconds the whole story. I was like, "I need to make a call down to the courthouse. I can't get anybody to do it for me." And mind you, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time, on Friday afternoon. And he's like, "Wise, you're going to have to wait till next week. I've got other people that their problems are just as important as yours. You're not special, so no." Sends me back to my unit, or back to my bunk. I go back to my bunk, and I'm just devastated. I'm defeated. It's 3 o'clock. I lay up on my top bunk. I was given an amazing Bible. I was given this Bible right here by a life coach, my best friend's mother. My best friend Matt, his mom's name is Janice. She's a Christian life coach, and she had sent me this Bible, but I'd never really read it. Wasn't too into the Bible, didn't really care about it, just whatever. So I'm laying on the top bunk, and I told my bunkie, Josh, who's also a good friend of mine to this day. I told him the situation and what was going on. He's like, "Yeah, man, you just need to pray, this and that." And I'm like, just kind of ignoring him. He goes, "I know you got that really nice Bible that lady sent you. How come you don't just open it up and read it?" So thinking I'm at my lowest and what harm could it cause to open up and read the Bible, I climbed out of my bunk, went in my locker, and I got the Bible, crawled up in my bunk, and I don't even remember what I read. I went to somewhere in Songs and just started reading a little bit. And after I was so overwhelmed, I read a little bit, and then I closed the Bible, laid it on my chest, and I just prayed. And I didn't pray to get into Rdap. I just prayed, "Please give me the strength to be able to get through this, because I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get into Rdap." That was my main concern. And I was just asking for strength to be able to deal with whatever it was that was coming next. And then I immediately passed out. 15 minutes later, Josh is kicking my bunk saying, "Hey, Jimenez is calling you back to the office." So now it's about 3:45, maybe 15 minutes, a quarter to 4. I go back in there, and Jimenez is like, "What do you want, Wise? What do you need?" And I told him, he goes, "Do you have the phone number?" Man, I ran back to my bunk in my locker. I got the phone number to the county clerk's office in Savannah, Georgia. And he called him up with me sitting there. He goes, "My name's so-and-so. I'm at Coleman Federal BOP, the prison. I've got an inmate in here who shows that he has a warrant for his arrest out of this county. The inmate states that he did go to court and that you guys dropped the charges. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on." So the lady's pulling up the record, and she goes, "Well, he has a warrant for his arrest, and he definitely didn't show up to court." So I'm going, "That's not true. Please ask her to look into it." So he asks her, he goes, "Look, this guy's been real adamant saying he went. Is there any way you can look into the records and just make sure that it wasn't filed incorrectly?" And with a real bitchy attitude, she's like, "Hold on," puts him on hold. And he's looking at me going, "You better not be lying, because I'm wasting my time on this. And if I find out you're lying," he goes, "there's going to be issues." And I'm like, "I'm not fucking lying." So it's like 15 minutes. It's about 4 o'clock now. She comes back on the phone, and she's like, I don't know how we made this mistake. He did show up to court. It was null processed. It was filed incorrectly. He's like, "Can you send over the paperwork?" So within minutes, the paperwork was sent over. He called down to the Rdap unit to talk to Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith had already left for the day. I had to have my paperwork in by that day in order to get into Rdap. Now, they said she had already left. They said she just walked out of the office. Now, C2 to the main gate where staff has to go through before they can leave, where they have to turn in their keys, turn in their walkie-talkies, turn in all of that stuff, is about a 3 or 4 minute walk. So I said, "Can you please see if maybe she's still walking from the office to the gate, and she might still have a radio on her. Is there any way you can try to radio her?" He's looking at me like, "Man, you're fucking pushing it." He picks up the radio, and he says, "This This is Jimenez to Dr. Smith. Are you still on the compound? And it's like the longest 10 seconds of my life. And you hear, hey, Jimenez, I'm still here. And then he told her what was going on. And she's like, just silent. Like, she did not want to deal with it, but she knew how important it was. And I'd been in there, and she like knew me by face. She's like, look, process the paperwork, date it for today, send it over Monday, but with today's date on it. And as long as what you're telling me is accurate, I'll make sure he's in. When I tell you guys I broke down and cried like a baby, I literally like just, that was it. I cracked because it was so hard to get just that and what it took was to find one person in the prison that was willing to lift a finger. And what Mr. Jimenez did he didn't move mountains. He picked up and made a phone call for me. It took a matter of 10, 15 minutes. I couldn't get somebody to do this for a month and a half. For a month and a half, I begged family and friends and an attorney. Nobody could get this done. And once I saw what Mr. Jimenez did and how easy it was, and a phone call, didn't take filing papers, didn't take any of this, and saw how easy it was, it made me really frustrated with how the system is so fucked up. Because can you imagine if it was a real situation that really required some like, well, we need this paper filed and this paper filed? Nobody was going to do that. Nobody within the BOP was going to do that. There was no finger lifting, anything more than a quick phone call. And it brought so many emotions out of me, and I immediately started thinking of how many people must be getting fucked from stuff just like this. That's why we try so hard to do what we do. Now, as prison consultants and prison coaches, at least this is what guys should be doing. We try to make sure that you don't have any open charges. Kevin Chase just found out he's got warrants. You guys know who Kevin Chase is. Kevin Chase was finding out he can't get into Rdap because he's got warrants and he can't find out what they're for. So we're trying to find out what they're for him, but he doesn't even know what county they're out of. So we don't even know where to look. So I'm telling you guys, if you're getting ready to go into federal prison, do background searches on every county you've ever been. Check your name in the system. Find out. Because if you think you're going to a camp and you land in a low, 99% of the reason why you landed at that low is not because of your points. It's because of a detainer, an open charge somewhere. And that will cause so many problems for those of you that don't have lengthy sentences. If you've got a 40-month sentence or less, or just over 40 months or less, and you've got a detainer somewhere, you can count on it taking some time to get fixed to where it shows up in the paperwork. Because most people within the BOP that work there are not going to do what Mr. Jimenez did. They're not going to pick up a phone and make a phone call for you. They're going to tell you it's your problem, you deal with it. So just be ready for these type of issues, these type of roadblocks. But when those moments arise, and you will have those moments where you get news that you weren't prepared for, not everything is always going to go the way that we planned, right? That's the one thing we can count on, is for shit to change. You have to be prepared to deal with it. And I was mentally preparing myself in my bunk for not going into Rdap and trying to soothe myself with it, saying it's going to be okay. It's only 12 months. And 12 months is a long time. And I prayed. Now, did praying help? I like to think so. Did my attitude help? I like to think so. Did my persistence help? Fuck yeah, because I never gave up. I never gave up. I mean, I was down to the last 30 or 40 minutes, so at that point I was accepting defeat. But up until that minute, I was fighting the whole way. But it took somebody else's help to help me get in. So keep that in mind. So if I ask you a question, will they know I have an Rdap consultant? And I can't say if they will or not, Juan. Juan's asking if he's asking a question. You don't have to say I'm a consultant. You can just refer to me as like, your mentor, somebody giving you good information. It doesn't have to be like I hired a prison consultant. You can just say I have a friend that went through the program who said it did wonders for him. And when I have issues, I talk to him sometimes because he went through this and he tells me what's worked for him, and hoping that maybe some of the techniques will also work for me. So I think it's how you word it. Don't talk about money and oh, I hired you to do this, or hired you to, just email it like you'd be emailing a friend. So I don't think you're going to be held to a higher standard. But I've got a client that was so afraid of getting removed from Rdap that once he got into Rdap, he removed me off of his core links and only communicates now with me through his wife, which makes it really, really because his wife doesn't understand. He'll ask questions, and then his wife will ask me the question, and she'll forget how he asked it. She'll be like, I think he wants to know. It's like, oh my God. Third-party information can sometimes be a little bit wrong. If you ever played that game Telephone, where everybody's in a line and the first person whispers, you know, "Fat frogs play baseball." And by the time it gets to the end, the last person, they whisper, whisper, whisper. It's a completely different sentence. You know, it's like, I had a lot of fun at the football game. It's like, how did they get I had a lot of fun at the football game from "Fat frogs play baseball"? It's because when we process information, we're thinking and not processing enough, and we spit out information without really knowing what they said. So just be careful. Anytime, Chris. I've got so many stories, guys. It's just sometimes, you know, prison. Here's what prison is like. You ever watch the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, where every day is the same day? Well, prison's kind of like that, because every day is similar. A lot of what you do is going to be very routine. You know, you get up, eat breakfast, wear the same clothes, brush your I mean, it's very routine for the most part. Some days there's a little bit of, you know, interjecting something different. But because it's so routine that when you get out of prison and you start to like do a million different things, that day or that prison sentence becomes one giant long day, and it's very easy to forget certain instances that happened. That's why writing yourself a journal or letters. I told you guys a million times, I wrote a letter home every single night I was in prison. So Monday through Sunday, I would write letters every single day, every night. I'd write a 1 to 2 page letter, and then every Sunday night, I would put them all into an envelope and mail them home, save money on stamps. And reading through them is like, it's like blast from the past, because I forgot so much of where my mind frame was, or my thought process was then versus now. And even the way I think that I thought then, I didn't necessarily think that way. There was some real negative thoughts coming out of Rdap Dan's mind. And it takes practice, 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 and relearning, re-education to build new habits and new patterns to now I feel like this is how I've always been, even though it's not. There was a time in my life where I struggled more than most people in a negative way, where I always thought I had all the answers. I didn't want help. I always felt like no matter what, nothing good was going to happen. If something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. And of course this would happen, just my luck type of attitude. Always blah, 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 negative, negative, negative. Even though I didn't see myself like that at the time. Looking back and reading my letters and seeing where my mind frame was, and talking to friends and family about how they've seen progress and change in my life, and they see the differences sometimes more than I do, and it's awesome to hear that, you know, because it shows that you can become a different person. You don't have to be labeled or identified by your past. You know, you always want to remember where you came from, and maybe you don't ever want to go back there, but that's why you do things to remind yourself. That's why I keep my Rdap bracelet on 24/7, never take it off. You know, the day this thing breaks, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to have to buy another one. But it's a remembrance of what I went through. YouTube has been so therapeutic for me, making these videos, talking to you guys, reliving moments, talking about old stories, people in prison, seeing people that are struggling. It brings back a lot for me that gives me drive and the heart to want to push through it and help other people. So, and I have to thank you guys for that, because if it wasn't for you guys tuning in and liking my channels and asking questions, you know, who would I be talking to? I'd be talking to a camera that doesn't care. But you guys are not cameras, so you all care. So anyway, so make sure, guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor, go over to Zach's channel, Win with Zach. And here, let's grab Zach's channel here. I should have already had this, but you know me. Do things my way. My way is not always the right way. Like if I would have had this prepared, I wouldn't have to be clicking over here and grabbing things. So we're going to grab Zach's channel. Please, guys, do me this solid favor. Zach is an amazing motivational speaker. Zach spent time in prison. Zach has a YouTube channel. Here's a link to his channel. I'm putting it right now in the chat room. Boom, there you go. Please, please, please click on Zach's channel and tap the bell and subscribe. Hopefully Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Zach will have the video ready that him and I are doing together, and you guys will be able to watch me on his channel. So if you want to see that video and see what we talk about on relationships and how they can be self-destructive or you can repair them, definitely check out that video, guys. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. We're right about an hour. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. You know, like I said, it's sad to see somebody not make it through RDAP, but at least we can use this story as content for a real life situation that happened to somebody that maybe will make the difference. If you think you're going to want to get into RDAP and you think you have all the answers and you think you don't need any help, you might be fooling yourself. A prison coach, you might be afraid of like, oh, I don't want to hire anybody. But what is it? You got to think about it. How much is it going to cost you not to hire somebody? That's the real cost. What could it cost you if you don't hire somebody? What could you miss out on? What mistakes could you make, or what mistakes could you avoid by hiring a prison coach or prison consultant? That doesn't mean hire me. As you guys know, I'm not the only guy in this space. I may have the largest YouTube channel for prison consulting and coaching, but that's just because I love YouTube. But there are some other prison consultants out there that you guys can check out with. But I hope to see you guys on Monday. We'll be live Monday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Until then, I'm rdapdan. Make sure you tap the... I told you to go subscribe to everybody else's channel. Well, make sure you subscribe to my channel too. Tap the bell up on my screen. Like, share, share the videos, like the videos, all that good stuff. Check me out on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all those places. It's all at rdapdan, so it's real simple to find me. Until then, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I'm rdapdan. Love every single one of you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.